Can I have a motion to resume public session? Dr. Richards, Ms. Keyes, all in favor? The vote is unanimous. We're now back in public session. Please stand for the pledge. Do we have any agenda changes?
Updates to personnel.
Thank you. So I want to take a minute to welcome everyone here tonight on this wonderful evening. It's gorgeous outside. We heard the marching band practicing while we were getting ready for our meeting, which is always exciting because it means school is getting closer. Would like to mention that the board had their board retreat to start kind of preparing and thinking and planning for the upcoming school year to make sure we're in alignment with the district and all the work that the district's doing, and really reassessing our norms and setting ourselves up to work effectively as a team for this upcoming year. And I just wanted to take a minute, which I'm sure you'll hear more about if you've been checking your email or your social media, you've been hearing about it as well, is the rollout of Parent Square as the form of communication the district's embracing this upcoming year. And just how so far as a parent, it's been a really simple, positive experience to become connected. It gave us a chance to see our upcoming 5th graders teacher already, which made her very excited. And I look forward to you really learning how this works throughout the year and having that kind of centralized place for communication and to access information from the district. Do we have any points of interest? Okay, moves us forward to our report of meetings. Have any meetings occurred? Not seeing any visitor comments? Okay. All right, that moves us on to the report section. We have our business office report.
Ooh, this is a fun microphone tonight. Good evening, Superintendent Daly, President Coffey, Vice President Richards, Board of Education. Thank you for having us tonight. I'm Dr. Mitch Ball, the Assistant Superintendent for Business, and I'm here with Anna Lamb, the Assistant School Business Administrator, and Sally Sanford, the District Treasurer. So with that, just a brief outline about what we're talking about. This is our org chart, and when thinking about school business, we're really focusing on this half of the organizational chart. And really we're talking about kind of 2 buckets. One is finance, which Mrs. Sanford is responsible for. She supervises those people. And then you have payroll and benefits and budgeting, which is Mrs. Lamb. So we're going to talk a little bit more about those teams. As you can see on the left there, it's my left. It's everybody's left, right? Okay, perfect. Is Mrs. Lamb, what's that? Mrs. Lamb is responsible for the people on the left, and Mrs. Sanford is responsible for the people on the right. Within that, we have a couple of new team members. Nancy Menendez Soto, she was a teacher aide over at Florence Brasser Elementary, who has a whole bunch of business experience and background from her past prior to being in education, and we were lucky enough to hire her to replace Deb Sofing, who was our previous accounts payable clerk. And then we also hired Curtis Wins, noting that we have Cindy Borelli currently as our payroll clerk, and Cindy has been talking for many years about slowly transitioning out of the district. She's been with the district for 28 years, and so we're starting to do cross-training with Curtis now, given that fact. So they're great additions to the team, and we're really pleased to have them. And so now that you've kind of seen the overarching organization of the department, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Sanford to talk a little bit about some finance, what the finance department does, and also provide some highlights. Thank you.
Good evening. Here's a few buckets you can see that fall under the finance umbrella, and I'll touch on a few areas in the next slide. Do I gotta click it too?
Do you want me to?
I'd want you to click
Okay, I
it.
can do that.
Thank you. So, finance highlights, yes, how about audit highlights? There we go. So some audit highlights include having our independent auditors return to the district. There's a ton of work that needs to be done in a short amount of time to prepare for the financial statements and the independent audit. The internal audit focus this year is technology, and that was determined by the Finance Facilities and Audit Committee. The technology team was well prepared, and they were able to get all the information to the internal auditors that they needed, and we should have a final report from there shortly. Next, we have some banking and investment highlights. With the addition of Nancy as accounts payable clerk that Dr. Ball just mentioned, we were able to move forward with her expertise in that area. And our goal by the end of this year is to get 50% of our vendors on ACH payment and reduce those paper checks. There's a lot of labor that goes into it, not only issuing and printing and mailing, but also clearing when it's time to do your bank rec. So that's helped reduce a lot of labor intensive tasks. The partnership that we have with 3+1 to maintain and maximize our savings and also keep our banking costs low is continuing, and we've been able to take advantage of the current rates. With the capital project well underway means that bills are starting to roll in from our contractors. So instead of going out to bond and financing that project and incurring fees, we are able to use our own cash flow and avoid a lot of those fees. Next, there's grants management. Some highlights here include the federal funding related to the pandemic. We had two different sources here. The FEMA funding is a huge undertaking by the districts. To date, we have $500,000 received. A second claim is in progress for $360,000. $260,000 has been approved, and we should be getting those funds shortly, but we did decide to file an appeal to get the additional $100,000 and to keep pushing the feds on that. The ARP funding is closing out next month. The HVAC units are currently being set at the high school, and that is considered to be on track. So while this funding is wonderful for student, staff, and community, the administrative efforts behind it is very time consuming. So I think that's all I have, and I'll hand it over to Mrs. Lynn.
Good evening. So the other aspect of the business, actually, let's start on the right page, be good. There we go. We'll be discussing the highlights of the benefits, payroll, and budgeting portion of the business office, which includes what's listed there. Thank you. One of the highlights we'll be talking about is the personal contact that our department has with our employees. On average, our department meets with every single employee for about 30 minutes. If you take that and figure it out, it comes out to 7,110 minutes, and it ends up being like 17 days worth of meeting with people. During those times, we meet with them. We talk about their benefits that they have available to them. We talk about all the payroll forms that are necessary, such as W-4s, I-9s, and New York State retirement. Each one of these people have different needs, so it's very personalized for each one of these individuals that come in. As you know, last winter we transitioned from our Excel Medicare benefit plans, and we have moved over to Aetna, which has been a great asset. Oh, did I stick that? Oh, I'm sorry. I probably should have. Oh, this is the one, sorry. We did our Aetna Medicare plans, and the conversion was very beneficial, not only to the district, but also to the retirees. It was a great savings. We were very fortunate to have our benefits clerk, which is Clara Scardino. Her knowledge, her attention to detail, and her thoroughness was, unbeknownst, probably the best thing that we could probably do with this transition. Our employees, our retirees were very, very concerned, and she settled them down, which was great on our end. Currently, we have her doing another project and converting all of our retirees over to direct ACH withdrawals for their retiree benefits. So basically, every quarter, we're going to have them have an automatic deduction versus having the actual invoice going out. With this process in place, it'll be much more efficient, it'll be more secure, it'll minimize outstanding invoices, and she's done such a great job. We only have 4 people left out of the 631 people. So I think that's pretty phenomenal to do within a 3-month time frame. So I'm very, very grateful to have her on our team. She also does all the monthly reconciliations for every single benefit, which is great. Another highlight we wanted to continue to look at is WinCap Web. That is our application. With this software, we actually have our employees look and they can actually see their paychecks, so we don't print direct deposits any longer. The only time we would print a direct deposit is if they have a sub and they don't have an account for some reason, which is rare nowadays. They can see their attendance balances, they can do their employee demographics, they can see their deductions, their W-2, the 1095s. There's a plethora of information that's there for them. One of the best things is the electronic timesheets, which is great for us because it's one of our forefront issues. We are trying to go greener and get rid of some of the paper timesheets. Between last year and just the beginning of this year for 24-25, we have already exceeded our transaction count by 351 transactions, bringing us up 87%, which is amazing. By what I'm saying with transactions is instead of receiving paper timesheets, we no longer receive paper timesheets for certain items, and then there's an approval process which is followed, which is great because it's accountability along the way, which has been great. So if you take just an average for what we've done so far, it's 19,500 transactions. Just think of that kind of paper on your desk. So for us, it's very, very important. And this is the last, this is the last aspect of the business office, is the budgeting. We are looking to focus on aligning the budget with district goals and researching different methods for students' achievement and uniformity amongst buildings so that everyone has the same assets or opportunities. Thank you. That's what happens at 6:30 at night for me. So at this time, here it is, back to Dr. Ball.
Okay, so the other areas are listed up above that are handled by the business department. Some other highlights are the healthcare worker bonus. We finally received our final approval actually earlier today that is allowing us to collect funds from the state for frontline healthcare worker related positions or people that deal with mental health. And so those positions listed there on the screen are the types of positions that have received funds through the Healthcare Worker Bonus Program. As part of that program, we had to submit claims for all of those individuals, and they had to meet certain requirements. And with that being said, a total of $188,500 have been collected from the state for those workers who were tied directly to pandemic efforts, which is really great news for our staff. Safety and security has been another big highlight for us this year. Obviously, we've hired a new director of safety and security, Sam Bell, from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. We're implementing the TAP app in the fall. This app will allow staff members to do things like if there's a present threat, they could potentially lock down a building. We're able to do all kinds of things like look at plans and look at rosters of students. We're working towards implementing that, and Sam Bell is at the forefront of that currently. We're looking at electronic door locks. We're starting with the elementary buildings. This is a big push so that staff members will be able to badge into their classrooms. We'll have less keys out in the district that could potentially get lost and create a security concern, and also we can control access. We can shut badges on and off if staff members are no longer with us. That's a big push for us, and again, we're starting with the elementary buildings and hope to have that implemented sometime in the mid to late winter. We're doing safety and security audits. We started these last summer. We're doing them again this summer where the building principal, a safety team member, somebody from facilities and grounds walks around and they do a full audit of spaces using an audit tool that we collected through one of the foremost school safety experts in New York State, Dr. Schildkraut. We're also doing key management, and so we're getting a full inventory of keys, and those are being put into Master Library. If you remember, Master Library is a software system we use for all kinds of facilities needs, and so we're doing a full key inventory in there. And then we have our continued partnership with Gates PD for SRO services. Erica Despard is really involved in our school community. We're really happy to have that partnership. She goes to trainings with our staff members and has Gates Chi-Li at the forefront every single day. Organizational efficiencies, we're just trying to become more efficient in the business office. We're digitalizing things. We're trying to bring records back, hopefully this school year from Iron Mountain, so that we're not paying those fees for storage. We're going to try and digitalize a lot of those so we don't need to store those things. We're looking at, as we transition from this building over to the new admin space, digitalizing personnel and payroll files so that we don't have to bring those things with us and take up space. And then just continue to look at a furniture replacement plan through Master Library. In terms of capital project management, this is a huge part of what we do in terms of the business office and in terms of oversight of construction. We have all of those things going on. I was just talking with Mr. Olin and Mrs. Petrosino about the fact that this is the second to last meeting, I believe, that we will ever have in this space, because the next meeting will be here, and then after that we'll be over into the PLC because all of those upgrades will be complete, which includes bathrooms and a small prep area for the meetings. In addition to that, we've been working on increasing storage in the high school basement because we know we have a lot of needs within, for instance, the music department, within records retention, trying to move things off of the primary floor of the high school that don't relate to student programming specifically, like actively, but are more storage related things. We're trying to create a space where the old pool was in the high school for that. The solar EPC, we're doing a lot of work around that right now, a lot of exploratory work looking at, right now, 3 main sites for a potential solar project, and proposals will be coming out on that in the next month or so. The $100,000 capital outlay project, that's going to be replacing windows at the high school that we're currently identifying those windows and getting prepared to look at bidding out that work. Emergency boiler project, that's fully complete. We completed that in this past year. We had a boiler fail in the high school, and we were able to complete that. EV chargers for buses, we are currently in the midst of a study that is paid for by NYSERDA. That study is going to help us outline how we move forward beyond the available 16 charge spots that we have for school buses right now. As you know, by hopefully the end of 2024, we're going to have 15 electric school buses, which is 10 more than we have right now. We need to start thinking about how are we going to meet the mandate to be purchasing electric school buses in 2027. And so we have to be thinking about that and how we're going to get the infrastructure in place. So we're doing that study right now, and that's paid for by NYSERDA. District signage, this campus is now complete. We're currently have designs in, and they're making the signs for 3 of our elementary buildings with the exception of Florence Brasser. We're holding up on Florence Brasser until the capital work is done, which is part of phase 2 of the $45.5 million project. Once that area is complete, then we'll have that signage installed. And so don't want to install something that we have to take out, but we are moving forward with the other 3 buildings. And then elementary pickup and drop off. We've been looking real closely at that at 2 of our elementary buildings, Paul Road and Walt Disney. We do know that Paul Road, if you've ever been over there during pickup and drop off, it's got some really tight spaces. So looking at how we're lining that. And then also looking at Walt Disney and the backup that occurs on Coldwater and sometimes out to Buffalo Road, is that we have had complaints in the past from emergency responders about having access to those roads when that backup occurs. We made some changes, and we're putting cars in parking lots where maybe they're not the best location for them. And so we're just looking at what are some other ways that we can redesign that space, and have been working with the Monroe County Department of Transportation closely to have conversations about what we can and can't do. So again, a lot of things going on in terms of capital project management, and that's one thing that takes up a lot of our time, and especially a lot of the time of the finance department. So the other big thing to point out is we're researching and planning for the next capital project. We're slowly whittling down the list after getting feedback from all the buildings and all the departments. Kind of whittling down that list to start working towards some proposed projects through that process and through our building condition survey with an anticipated vote date of February 5th, 2025, and that will be a big thing in terms of planning and communication as we go into this school year. With that, we are complete. Are there any questions? Yes, Mrs. Jennings.
I just have one quick question about Paul Road. So I noticed a couple days ago the parking lot was redone
Yep.
and the parking spots
Yep.
are repositioned now. Does that have
Correct.
anything to do with like the flow that you were just
That's
referring
exactly it, yeah. And that is a recent thing that just happened, and that's really the change that we have going into this year. Long term, we may look at some other options, but that is the best option that we had right now. We worked with our architect and site planner within the architectural firm to redesign that flow. What do you think? Initial take?
to? Initially, I was confused.
Yeah. But then, once you get used to it, do you,
It looks nice aesthetically.
yeah.
It appears to be more parking spaces now.
Mhm.
I mean, that's not one of my homeschool, my kids don't
Yeah.
go there, but I mean, it looks nice.
Yeah, there
It
were
works.
pinch points there, and that meant there were blind spots, and that didn't feel very safe, and so we wanted to
Yeah.
address those concerns.
Nice.
Great, thank you so much for the feedback. Yes, Dr. Richards.
Just thinking about when you were talking about signage and knowing that the admin building is going to be moving, I don't want to presume that the signage is already, that the price to have that moved, all that has already been included in capital project.
It's already planned, yes. We already have a plan for that. And that's one nice thing about the signage package that the district has purchased is they're all separate slats, and they can also be changed out.
Okay,
So
okay.
they can be removed and new ones put in, which is nice. And so we can move them too. We can move them as long as the sizing is the
Right,
same
it's
on
the
this,
same.
on
Okay.
this
Thank you.
sign. Any other questions?
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much and have a great evening.
You as well. And that moves us forward to our consensus items. Can I have a motion to approve the consensus agenda? Ms. Jennings, Mr. Banowski, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion to approve consensus items C through I? Can I have a motion? Ms. Jennings, Dr. Richards, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. I have a motion to approve the 2024-2025 property tax levy. Have a motion. Ms. Kies, Ms. Davis, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. That moves us now to the superintendent's comments.
It's hard to believe, but we're now less than a month away from our first day of school for students. Students UPK through 12 return on Tuesday, September 3rd. And with a return to school, a reminder that registration is open for our fall sports. If your student needs a physical, high school students can get one on August 15th from 12:30 to 2:30, or August 20th from 8 to 10 a.m. in our high school health office. For middle school students, the dates are August 22nd and August 26th from 9 to 11 a.m. in our middle school health office. As referenced earlier, almost 2 weeks ago, we finally launched Parent Square, our new K-12 communication platform. Since our launch, nearly half of our 4,500 plus parents and guardians in the district have already registered their accounts so they can stay connected and engage with our student schools. Later this week, there will be a live virtual demo of Parent Square for families. It's at 1 p.m. on Thursday at gateschile.org PSQ demo. But don't worry, if you can't make it, there'll be a recording at the same link. And speaking of Parent Square, this past weekend we had a table at the Gates Summer Celebration to share information. Mrs. Petrosino, Mrs. Eugene, and Miss Rollins and Mrs. Georger were there to speak with families about Parent Square and promote the positions we still have open. To see any open positions, if you'd like to be employed, go to gateschili.org/jobs. And on Friday, we wrapped up our final free summer meals to the tune of more than 24,500 meals. This number reflects about 2,000 more than last year. A huge thank you to our school nutrition staff who worked diligently all summer to provide this important resource to our students and families. And remember that Gates Chili will again be offering free meals during the 24-25 school year. That means students can eat breakfast and lunch for free every day in every Gates Chili cafeteria. Families do not have to fill out any forms for their students to get free meals at school, but they still complete an income eligibility form, which is tied with other important benefits for students. To complete that secure applications, families should still go to gateschili.org/income form. So earlier this month, we also wrapped up our summer learning program. For elementary, more than 230 of our students were invited to strengthen their literacy and language skills as part of our literacy and ENL programs at Neil Armstrong. Staff used end-of-year data to help guide literacy instruction to target skills students needed to focus on to prepare for their next grade level this coming year. The very timely theme of the program was the Olympics. Literacy is just like training for the Olympics. Persevere, stay motivated, and celebrate every small victory. Teachers brought in readings and other resources to help students make connections to the theme while developing their literacy skills. Meanwhile, at our secondary level, more than 100 students participated in various opportunities, including STEM enrichment, ENL, 15-1-1, and Jumpstart to 9th grade. STEM students enjoyed many new hands-on activities, including Rube Goldberg challenges, a forensic scavenger hunt, and more. ENL students worked on their reading and speaking skills during a field trip to Lollipop Farms, where they read to homeless animals. Our 15-1 students reinforced skills they gained during the school year, including skills in math, literacy, and social emotional wellness. They took on several STEM projects, including cooking. And our incoming 9th graders focused on getting ready for our high school. Tours of the high school, writing and math, and they even got to meet their 9th grade assistant principal, Miss Parchment. And finally, we had 41 students earn more than 24 credits during Apex Credit Recovery. Several more seniors have completed their credits needed to graduate this month. Thank you to our summer school principal, Mr. Tavaleris, and all our faculty who work closely to support our students in the summer months. And lastly, but not least, next week, we will welcome at least 120 new faculty and staff during our new staff orientation. It's exciting to bring our new hires into our GC family, and we have one here tonight that we'd like to recognize now as our latest addition to our GC family. So congratulations on your appointment tonight. We're thrilled to see what you'll do to help us. And with that, that is my report, President Coffey.
Thank you, sir. Can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? Dr. Richards, Mr. Moscato, any discussion? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.